Kamehameha.
What? You're gonna Kamehameha them in their dreams?
Yeah, pretty much.
Imagine like they're just sleeping and then they just hear Chai's Kamehameha.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Cubers Live Overinspected Podcast. And wait, I gotta put in the zinger, guys. You guys know the zinger. What is it? The greatest speed cubing podcast in the world. I feel like I personally haven't said that on a podcast in a while, so I really needed to get that out there. But if this
energy building up and you got it out.
Yeah, just all this pent-up energy. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, if you didn't know, I am Michael Chai, and with me today are our co-hosts, Manu. We got Carrie. I'm pointing in both directions. I don't know where they're going to end up being for this podcast if you're watching the video format. But yeah, love the podcast. I feel like the podcast has, in a lot of ways, been a routine and been a part of our entire life. And I swear to God, it's not really like a segment or a segue that I'm doing here. But this podcast has kind of become one with everything that we do. And really becoming just a little bit of a pet project and becoming a way to really talk with each other. But as you guys can tell from the title of this podcast, today we're talking everything about like our personal life routine, really what we do every single day, how we take care of ourselves, or maybe even something as simple as recognizing if we are taking care of ourselves and stuff like that. What do we do? I think it's a common problem or something that people are generally curious about for their own like life and lifestyle. So I thought at some point it'd be really nice to talk about it. But yeah, I don't know. I think the most obvious thing that we could talk about first is maybe our work. We don't have to go too much into it, but maybe I can start with you, Manu. Let's just talk about like how our like professional side of things affects our personal life, our schedule, and like, you know, how we even feel about the work that we do.
Yeah, totally. And I think this is one that'll be really interesting for I think a lot of listeners. Because I think some listeners that we have are like adults, and we've met some of these people also. They're really awesome people. But I think a decent number of listeners are also children, or like teens and stuff. Who are still in school. They don't necessarily have like the same like, what does it mean to like work at a company or whatever type of lifestyle yet. And I think it's very different being in school versus like having a job, if you will. And I it's really interesting actually. I think it's a great idea to bring up like work, because we all do very different types of work. We all have very different schedules, and I think it'll be cool actually also to like hear from you guys. What are you doing? Are you lighting a candle?
I want to light a candle.
He's setting the mood.
Impromptu.
I'm setting the mood for.
Okay.
I'm lighting a black cedar crackling wood wick.
I have no idea what that could even smell like.
It's part of my life routine. All right, sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No.
Dude, I think better.
Nah, dude, it's all chill. Dude, the podcast is all fun and games at the end of the day, anyway. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. So let me talk about what I do, how my work schedule works. So I think some listeners to the podcast may or may not remember. I'm basically a software engineer. And so one of the nice perks of being a software engineer is I can do my work from more or less anywhere. So this means that I've set up my work schedule, like with my managers and everything, to be set up so that on Mondays and Fridays I actually work from home. And so I go into the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And yeah, Mondays and Fridays I work from home. But actually another thing I do is, even though I say I'm working from home, I usually end up going to the library on Fridays. I found it's like a nice way to kind of like take the edge off of the week, kind of like nice transition into the weekend. I'm a big fan of libraries, so I really like working from the library, and I think that's one thing that helps me out a lot. Having the different locations in which I work really helps me. I like it where I can like, if I'm like working from home, sometimes I'll be out on the bed, sometimes I'll be sitting in this at my desk. Sometimes I'm in the living room. Sometimes I'll work in the kitchen for no reason. And then even at work, I have my desk that I work on. Sometimes I'll stand the desk up. Sometimes I'll go work in the break room. We have this like little sofa couch for people to like relax on. Sometimes I'll go work there. So yeah, for me, having like the different environments really helps me out, and I think that makes me way more productive when I do work. I think it's because I actually don't know why. Do you guys have like the same thing where like you want to like move around as you work?
Yeah, well, I was going to say that when you say that like you can work in a library, sometimes just sort of being physically near other people who are also being productive is like just a good kind of, I don't know, environment that's like, I don't know, like these people are getting their work done, so I want to also get my work done. Whereas when you're home alone, it's like it's easy to just chill and go on Netflix or watch YouTube videos.
Oh my god, you don't want to know how many
it's
times
dangerous.
you guys don't want to know how many times I will just like I'll be doing something, I'll feel kind of sleepy, and I'll just next thing I know it's like an hour later and I just like knocked out.
Completely dangerous. Yeah,
it's so dangerous.
It's so bad.
Dangerous. Yeah.
Them dang YouTube shorts, man. I thought I could avoid TikTok.
Oh god, don't get me
They're
started
all
on the
clones.
YouTube
Instagram
Shorts.
Reels, that too. Facebook
Dude.
Watch. They're all the same thing.
Freaking,
Okay.
I can't believe it.
I'm putting my ballot in for YouTube Shorts. Dude, the YouTube Shorts are too good. I feel like so I don't use TikTok, but I think of the other people I've seen use TikTok, I feel like the content that they get is more like entertainment. Whereas like the content that I get sometimes on my YouTube Shorts is sometimes it's kind of educational. I remember, and I was just talking to some of my friends about this today. I got a YouTube short the other day that was talking about have you guys heard of like tessellations in like the 2D plane?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like there's the aperiodic tiling that came out recently.
Yes.
Yes.
So super quick explanation. Basically, you can take shapes, and when you connect them together, they create these things called tessellations. And a good tessellation is a tessellation that completely fills the space. So for example, if you had like triangles, like equilateral triangles, you could put those together and they would completely fill the space. There'd be no gaps or overlaps. But if you took like, for example, pentagons can't tile the space. They don't tessellate the space because it leaves gaps in it. So a big thing that people were researching is it possible to create a tiling that's aperiodic? So for example, if you go back to like hexagons or triangles, it kind of like looks the same across the entire tessellation, but is there like a tiling that you can use that's aperiodic, that where if you go to a different spot, it will always look different, it will never repeat? And so I saw a YouTube short on that, and I thought it was so cool. And it's amazing because some of my friends were talking about it, and like I was like, oh yeah, I saw that on YouTube Shorts. So I don't know, it depends. I think YouTube Shorts is really nice for like this educational content.
Do you know if it was like a YouTube video that was like edited down to a short, or like was it made by like a YouTuber that you knew?
Yeah. So there's this YouTuber, I think, Up and Adam.
Up and Adam.
Yeah.
I've heard of her.
Yeah, she does some fun videos. But I think she recorded it separately as a short and not like as like one of the videos.
Well, that's the new meta.
Right.
That's the new strategy, I think.
I mean, I do find YouTube Shorts to be quite enjoyable, and I do think that what you identified is correct. There's more of an educational component to YouTube Shorts. I think it's because there's just a vast variety of content creators on YouTube in comparison. But yeah, the dang YouTube Shorts are dangerous.
They're so addicting though.
They're dangerous.
They're
I know.
Dude.
They're too
It is like a drug, but I guess like this is getting a little off topic from life routines though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah. So anyway, I wanted to share. So yeah, that's the stuff that that's the kind of how like my work routine and stuff works. So yeah, I'd love to hear about your guys' stuff too.
Oh, I was just gonna quickly ask, on the days that you don't have to go into the office, do you still have to like check in at a certain time, or do you just have to get the work done? Like there's just some tasks that they want you to get done by the end of the day.
Yeah. So ours is like kind of different. We don't have like a clock in, clock out system, but we still need to like log our hours. So what that means is I don't have to like log in at a certain time. I can log in at any time as long as I work for 8 hours a day, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I wanted to, I could wake up at 7, work for an hour, then go do something between like from 9 to 10, log back on at 10, and it would be all good as long as I'm not missing meetings.
Right. Well, because you like log on and then just leave your laptop open and then like take a bath while like the hours are racking up.
Okay, in theory, I could do something like that, but that's not a good thing. Like, I don't do stuff like that.
I think
Okay.
as a work from home perspective of it, I think more people probably do it than like is let on. Well, like I don't know if people hide that fact. To be honest,
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say that like, okay, like the college I went to, there's like a lot of people who went into software developing, and one of my friends says that I shouldn't reveal too much information, but he said that like there were times when he would only work 1 hour a day for coding, but then like ChatGPT was released, and then the company, I want to keep it vague just to like not leak the identity.
I wonder I understand why you're tripping about this, because when you say ChatGPT, I think that narrows like a lot of categories. So I'm just like,
I know, and I was like,
No,
Well, no,
but just so you know, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah,
about any
I have no clue
competing-
what
No,
you
yeah,
I mean,
what.
Yeah, this podcast it isn't gonna get like that many viewers, so I don't think this person's gonna get fired.
yeah,
And also
no,
that like
it's
they're
okay.
getting they're getting the work done. But I guess like basically the point I was trying to make is that for coding, I think there's some people who code like really, really fast, so they are able, like, as long as they can get the things that the company wants done, then like they can sort of speed run it, I guess. But like I think that's the exception more than it is the rule. Like it also definitely depends on the company, and
Yeah,
like,
totally.
you know, if they discover that you're only working 1 hour a day, then they will probably think like, well, you could be doing 8 times as much work and then getting 8 times as much done.
Right.
Cool.
Which is why I have said nothing.
Carrie has said nothing. Wait, Carrie. Maybe because I think some people will probably know that you have a very different work schedule. So I guess I was more so curious about like how do you handle being essentially, I wouldn't say the word freelance, but how do you handle making your own schedule? And like and when you have to work, when you have to work, or when you choose not to work, like all that stuff matters, right?
Right. Well, I would say that like it feels like every week is like slightly different, which maybe some people would find that appealing, some people would find that like unpredictable. So I think like I guess one example is, you know, my brother and I are trying to find office space near Los Angeles for the summer. So that might mean that like one weekend I'll like go down to LA and just like take a tour of some like WeWork offices, and like that will take some time. Like it'll take like the whole day, but like I won't make any money from it, obviously, because I'm just like looking at it. But like the idea is, by doing this, then I'll have a better idea of like a good office to have, and then that'll result in us being more productive in the far future.
Right, because when you're looking at office space, you're not even making a purchase. You're just window shopping, essentially.
Basically, yeah.
So you're basically spending an entire day's worth of productivity window shopping for future productivity that you might not even use, because who knows, maybe you window shop and you decide, I don't want an office. Like,
Yeah.
So I see
Like,
what you mean here.
I think it's a lot of like, well, you know, I can always go on the website to look at the offices, but I won't know how it actually feels until I'm actually there. And even when I'm there, I might get this vibe that
Agreed.
like maybe this isn't right for me.
Totally.
You absolutely need to, like, there are some things that if you don't see it in person, you just miss out. Like, one example is because I was just looking at this, monitors. Like, if you're trying to buy a monitor, it really helps to see it. So,
Oh yeah.
you know, it's just one of it's just like, oh, I see it, it's great. So,
Especially like when it comes to like the color that a monitor can portray, because
Exactly, yeah.
yeah,
like another monitor cannot display the colors of a brighter monitor.
yeah.
Like it's just not within the range of like displays.
Would you ever say that you worked for like 24 hours straight, or like did you do an entire day's worth of work before?
Yeah.
Like editing or shooting and stuff like that?
For me, no, I don't think I've ever done that. I will say that like I do think I used to work more in the past. Like I think that one thing about like trying to grow the YouTube channel is to delegate more work to other people. So like I used to animate like 80 to 90% of my videos. But, you know, if you hire people to help you animate, you can make videos that are longer, and also like maybe they're more technically skilled in animation than you are. So all you have to do is really kind of like start writing the schedule and like telling people what tasks to do. And then it's kind of like weird in a way because I kind of miss animating because I haven't actually done that much of it in the past few years. But I think the episodes actually are better for that because I think that like my style of animation, like it sticks out like a sore thumb, and like sometimes fans will point it out. They'll be like, oh, I can tell that like 10-second section Carrie did.
Really?
Yeah, because like my style is very like asset based, whereas like a lot of other people do it more hand drawn, frame by frame based.
I see.
And like I've tried my hardest to like adopt the kind of current modern style, but like people can tell it's like I cannot hide the way that I do things. But I think that like there is a time lapse of me like coding I used to make like videos about the trends of coronavirus or COVID-19.
I remember those.
And I filmed this time lapse of me just coding. And it's like 14 hours straight. But I'm glad I recorded it because if I didn't, like, it's easy to forget like exactly what hours I'm spending because I sort of just do it whenever I feel like it.
That's actually what I was gonna ask. I feel like because your schedule is like kind of flexible in so many ways. Have you ever found it like sometimes it's hard to, I guess, kind of like separate, like kind of get like the work-life balance, because in some sense it's like you're like kind of always working, or you're always like able to work, sort of, right?
Yeah. Well, I would say that like in the past, it would be tough because like if it was Saturday or Sunday, especially like when I was still in high school, those were supposed to be the days that like I need to work on YouTube the hardest because like they're the days that I'm not in school. And I think that like left me with a bad habit that like weekends are never like break days. Like nowadays I like kind of take breaks like way more often, but like sporadically. What else was I gonna say? Something about I guess yeah, that's how I would answer that. Like
yeah. I get what you mean, for sure.
Yeah. I think the other thing I was going to mention is like a YouTube video can always be a little bit better. So it's like you could spend like 10 hours on it, but know that if you wanted to animate it like twice as smoothly, then it would be 20 hours. And you can always add a little bit more, but at a certain point you have to just call it quits.
Yes.
Oh,
I have a good... Go ahead.
You talked about this on a very, very beginning episode about Patricia Patton.
Oh, did I?
You did.
Patricia Taxon.
Taxon, you can talk about it again. I just wanted to say I remember this conversation.
Oh, really?
Because I'm sure our listeners don't remember. I remember this.
So
it's the 99% one, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I actually
don't.
I don't even remember that I mentioned it. So the listeners, there's no way the listeners are gonna remember.
Well, yeah. I remember it. Maybe we talked about it in private. I don't know, but I think it was on a early pod. But go for it.
Okay. So basically, really quickly. So exactly. So this idea that like you like every little bit can always make the video better, but it takes like exponentially more time to do. So there's this artist who I occasionally listen to from time to time called Patricia Taxon. Listeners may know her from the Summoning Salt videos. So Summoning Salt uses some.
She has a very good song called Yow.
Okay, well, not Yow. That's not on Summoning Salt. But the one that is on Summoning Salt, there are two of them. I think it's called Rainbow Flying, Rainbow Running, something like that, and Wavetable. Wavetable is like the super famous one. But her philosophy when it comes to making music is she gets stuff done. I believe it's up to 90% complete, and then the rest of the 10% she doesn't bother with. So she only ever makes songs that are 90% complete and then just publishes them. And
I think that's a good strategy.
Yeah, and her whole point of doing this is like, look, if I continue making songs, if I think they're 90% good, even if the last 10% polish isn't quite there, it means that like I don't need to sink time into that 10%. I can put out more songs. I can use that time in other ways, and even if I don't hit that 10% exactly, one of the other songs will probably like do it for someone, even though it's only 90% complete. So her idea is like, it's a balance between quantity and quality. It's like, I'm gonna put just enough quality into this so that it's not garbage, but I'm gonna also balance and say, okay, well, now with my newfound time, I can make more music that more people can enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, I think she knows something that like I struggle with a lot, because like at a certain point you start to realize like years, if you spend too long on one project, like years will go by, and then you start to realize like, oh, I'm actually like aging, and I don't have like infinite years to spend on this.
Oh god,
so,
you're actually and also, aging.
It's hard.
Yeah, I mean like
no, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like you know, some projects I thought would be done when I was like 18, that would be done by the time I was 19, but I didn't finish until I was 25, and then I'm like, shoot, that's not good.
Dude.
Yeah, okay.
No. I just like the description. I think it's very matter of fact, because like, I don't know. I think that's a very apt way to describe, you know, dealing with procrastination. I think when we procrastinate, when we really, really have the realization about the procrastination portion or like the putting off portion, you're like, oh, I guess that just happened.
Yeah. No, exactly.
It's really hard to like not, and that's how it feels like at the end of the day.
Dude, I have so much to talk about procrastination, but I will save that for later.
Right, yeah. I mean, I don't know if we want to talk more about, like, more the day in the life routine stuff instead of, like, the philosophy of procrastination. I mean, they are related, I think.
Yeah, they're related.
I think
let's wrap
procrastination. Procrastination is just, like, I think just a side effect of, like, everything we do, you know? It's a troublesome topic.
Yeah. Well, in any case, Chai,
yeah.
I want to hear about your personal life routine. Tell me what it's like to build your own schedule.
Well, you know, for me, as some of the listeners might know, I work in food. So I guess the nature of like my schedule is I do have the leisure to build my own schedule, but there's like just a certain amount that I could probably get away with. I generally have a sporadic schedule as well. Yeah, but I don't know. I think I have like the most boring kind of like work thing, but it's also quite a bit intense. So I have to figure out how to take care of myself outside of work. So I guess that's where a lot of this is more, I wouldn't say passionate, but has been more important to me as of recently. Where I think a lot of people try to figure out how to deal with work. I'm trying to deal with like everything after work.
Yeah.
Like, what's an example of something you do outside of work?
Yeah, so like I remember, I think not every time, but one of the things that I've definitely fallen back on, and everyone says this, but I really, really think that it's really important, especially when you're an adult, to keep it up, but gotta exercise, gotta feel some nature.
Oh yeah.
You know, so for me, what's been taking up a bunch of my time is, I don't know if you can tell in the podcast actually, but I've gotten a lot more tan. I've been playing a lot of basketball. Yeah, I played a lot of basketball, and that just takes up all my time. I'll like play for, so like there's if I work for 8 hours, let's say I start work at 6:30. I get off at 3 p.m., right? And then I come home, I change, hydrate, maybe I take a little nap. I'll go play some basketball at 4, and I'll play probably until like 6:30. Dinner, shower. I am in my bedroom, nothing to do at like 8 p.m. I've pretty much until like maybe 2 hours to really like do what I think I need to do, and then I have to go to bed and work the next day. So what's very interesting about that is because of the time that I took to exercise, I don't have a lot of leisure. but in a lot of ways that exercise has become my leisure, and it's
Right.
become a really good way to be more efficient in those last hours or so. Just because I feel like I'm kind of like draining myself of like anything that was like bothering me. And then
yeah,
what I used to do, like Manu, you knew this, but me and Manu, we played a lot of golf. And that would be very helpful, but that was extremely time consuming.
Yeah.
Time that I don't necessarily have all the times, as I highlighted. So it's just one of those things where I like to do those, just feel nature. I think that's probably the biggest thing. And it doesn't really matter if you're alone or if you're with people, or you could just schedule time to go to the gym. But that's generally, I found that to be exponentially helpful in like maintaining my mental health more so than my physical health. So a lot of listeners got to pay more attention to mental health for sure. I don't know if people care that much.
Nah, dude. I mean, it's
Right.
it's an important topic. So I think it's something important that everyone needs to think about. I can absolutely second the workout stuff, because for the past like month and a half or so, I've been paying more attention to doing like workouts, and that's kind of forced me to think a bit more seriously about like the things that I eat. And you know, and I think all that is like a nice little positive feedback loop. You know, I want to work out, so I'm like eating better. But now that I'm eating better, I feel more motivated to work out. And then that also has like a bunch of other positive externalities. You know, I enjoy hanging out with people more. Just enjoy work. Just enjoy lots of other things more too. So
Yeah.
Right,
so
right.
like that is probably like like the work is very typical, and for me, because it's I feel like if I sometimes don't do anything after work, I end up feeling more tired.
yeah, I can feel that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I can feel
It's
that.
really bizarre because I'm already tired after work, so it's just one of those things where like, oh, I gotta make sure. And that just goes to show like taking care of yourself or maintaining order requires effort, requires energy. It's what is that
Yeah.
thing? Is it the chaos theory, whatever it's called?
You're thinking of entropy, I guess.
Entropy, whatever. Like it requires energy to keep everything in order.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
Would you
Like
say that
if you never clean your room, you don't exert any energy, but your room will naturally turn more and more disordered.
messy?
Bro, you don't need to tell me about that.
So like that's the
here's
is
the
it-
example right here.
It's called it's entropy, right? That's the definition
Yeah,
of
entropy always
Yeah.
increases. Well, entropy is just disorder, right? So.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We're gonna
All right,
upset some
Mr. Physics guy.
thermodynamics.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
okay.
but
You've upset the
just very
physicists.
hand wavy. Like it generally increases.
Second law of thermodynamics. Blah blah blah. Boring stuff.
Well, I was gonna say, Michael, like, do you go like 100% of the time, like, exercise right after work, or would you say it's like 50%? Because I guess
I've been
the
forcing
percent-
myself to almost do it 100% of the time. Like I used to tell myself I'll do it on my days off, or I used to say
Right.
like I will do it on my right after my work days and have my days off as real days off. But I tell myself I'm going to go every single day, and if I miss a day, I'm going the next day.
Right. Yeah.
It's
I mean, that takes a lot of commitment. Like, because you said, like, I'm sure there's a lot of days when you're just like so tired after like 8 hours of work that it's just like, you know that you have the freedom to just skip it, but if you skip once, then it's like easier to skip again.
I just went today. I mean, no one was playing, so I didn't end up playing for that long. I just shot around, but
Yeah.
and it was one of those days where I totally didn't have to, but I did it. So I felt pretty good about it. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's something that helps me maintain somewhat of a lifestyle. It's pretty boring though.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it's good, dude. I think it's good.
I do think it's like interesting. Yeah, like you said, like being near nature helps somehow. Like I wonder if that's like a biologically ingrained thing in the way our brains are wired.
Yeah, you know what? I'll say that I've never hiked, and
Yeah.
hiking doesn't attract my, or I've never really legitimately planned a day to go hiking. But I would say that it's probably, I've never done it because I've never been drawn to try it, but I have a hunch if I were to actually do it, I would find it massively enjoyable.
I just did a hike today. 10 miles.
So how was that?
10-mile round trip.
10 miles?
10-mile round trip. Yeah. It was kind of steep. At some parts it was kind of steep. I don't know. I was out of breath for some.
That's almost like half a marathon, almost.
Almost half a marathon. Except it's going uphill. You go uphill for the first half at least.
Wait, what is today? Today's Sunday. So
yeah,
not a work day.
Not a work day. This is not something that you can do. But yeah, I mean, I thought the hike was great. It was hard. I was sweating, but once you get to I feel like if you go to a hike that has like a goal, right? Like some vista point or something. Once you get to like the top or wherever you're going, I feel like it has a really good reward. Like we got up to the top, we brought some stuff for sandwiches, so we had some sandwiches at the top, just kind of chilled, and then we came back down. And I felt very productive. My legs are gonna hate me tomorrow, but it was very productive. And I feel like I made good use of my day. So
yeah, and like. Your legs will hate you, but your brain will love you, and then like a week from now, your legs will heal back stronger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea. So.
Yeah, I mean that's like I'm impressed you went on such a long hike. I was gonna mention that like I didn't like go on a hike per se, but like I went on this walk, and I remembered that on Reddit last week I read that you probably don't remember the last time you skipped. And it was probably like years ago. So I was like just walking through the park, and I was like, I'm gonna try skipping just to make sure I can still do it. And like I could, but it definitely felt like, oh, my body is like heavier than the last time.
Right.
Like I'm glad I didn't get to a point where like I couldn't get the rhythm of my feet again. But I definitely felt like it's good I'm doing it now so that my body doesn't get too rusty.
Skipping is fun.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that, like, I try to make sure that no one nearby was watching, because I thought it would look kind of silly for, like, a grown man to be skipping like a little kid.
Nah, dude, normalize skipping for adults.
Normalize skipping. I mean, because, like, I remember as a kid, I used to think, like, skipping almost feels faster than running, and it takes less effort. So I was like, why don't we just skip everywhere?
What? There's I don't know. I'm trying to think of, like, the last time I skipped was... I have no idea.
Class.
Oh man, I skipped all of college, so like I guess that's the last time I skipped.
Okay.
Oh,
that's not that long ago.
It was actually it's been a while for sure.
I think like a couple months ago, I like those like when people do like heel clicks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, so I really wanted to learn how to do like that heel click. And, not look stupid while doing it. And for that, you kind of have to do, like, a little bit of a skip. So I think that's the last time I skipped.
I have some... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, you need, like tap dancing shoes. Like, shoes that actually are firm enough to click, right?
Well, if you want to get the click sound itself. I feel like I just wanted to, like, do the click. Like, do the click with my heels, kind of. So...
Okay.
But yeah,
I guess...
Heel clicking is fun. I recommend that people do it.
I don't know if I've ever done it.
It's not too hard.
Yeah. I think we're probably going to wrap this episode in a second, but I also wanted to give some advice as something that anyone should be... Really, anybody should implement this as a part of their life routine. Like all the stuff we talked about, like your work is going to be different than my work. What you do outside of work is your own business at the end of the day. You can choose how you want to do it. But what does everyone else do that's exactly the same? We all sleep.
Oh yeah.
So this is based off my personal experience. So I'm a very heavy sleeper. Actually, I'm gonna be honest, these days I've turned into a light sleeper.
Really? Dude, you were the heaviest sleeper. Like you would just
I've turned into a very light sleeper. But here's where I'm going with this. I was always the person to sleep 7 to 8 hours a day. And I found that anytime that and this is like while I was in school too, and I find that a lot of people will like not do that for school. But I always felt the most productive after getting those Z's. But here's the other thing. I found sleep, and I don't know if this is true. I find that your body has like a sleep counter in terms of how many hours of sleep you accumulate in your lifetime. And my theory, my working theory is that if you sleep 3 hours on Monday, you can't make up the 5 hours of sleep you missed. Your body will feel a deterioration on a micro scale. Like the sleep, I feel like if you sleep for 11 hours the next day, it doesn't make up the fact that your body got damaged from only sleeping for 3 hours. I don't think you can just recover. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think what they
that's
always
how
say,
I feel when I miss hours of sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you're supposed to recover from it then, but I know that like the sleep experts say that it's about the like reliability of the same hours of sleep that helps like regenerate your body. So it's like you have to like hit the same hours, 8 hours every night, which is not good news for, I guess, students who are pulling all-nighters.
Yeah.
I mean, not just students. I think adults like struggle dealing with this too.
Yeah, but I guess I imagine like adults who have like working schedules, there's a little bit more reliability, whereas like students will very often have like a final exam that's like
That's
a
true.
once singular night that like they're willing to sacrifice sleep for.
That's true.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, that's exactly the scenario where I'm like, okay, you sacrificed that one day, but you can't make it up. Your body doesn't, like, it's not the same. I don't know, because like I heard like after so many times when you get older, your body wears and tears at like a quicker rate because of the lack of sleep.
Yeah.
You can't just make it up by sleeping 12 hours the next day. Like about, and I try to sleep for 12 hours and I can't.
Oh, really?
Like, well, like if I do it, I know I'll get a headache.
Oh,
like
really?
a really bad one. Yeah.
That's really interesting. I feel like for me, it's very, very easy for me to sleep 10 hours. Like, I could just bust out. If you want, I'm just gonna go knock out right now. Catch me 10 hours later, or like 10 hours, 12 hours. I can probably just pull one out whenever I want. And
Yeah, no,
I
for
don't
me,
get any headaches or anything from it. So
like I'm a heavy sleeper, but once I hit like the 8-9 hour mark, I will probably more than likely be like conscious unless I was like exhausted the day prior.
Yeah, you might like just naturally wake up the next morning and you just be lying there
exactly
like, alert,
yeah,
and then you just can't go back to sleep.
But I'll naturally wake up at the 8-9 hour mark. I'll try to sleep for 12, like I'll keep my eyes closed. But then when I really do it, because I'm really tired, my head starts to throb from dehydration.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's not a good practice for sure for me. But yeah, I don't know. I've become a light sleeper these days. I can run off of 4 or 5 hours of sleep and I'll wake up, which wasn't the thing in the past, but I really don't know why that's happened.
I thought you meant a light sleeper as in like any small sound will wake you up.
I wouldn't say like any small sound will wake me up, but I will be disturbed now. And it's not just my cat these days.
Right,
it's not just him. Like I will just, there will be a moment where maybe I'm disturbed and like, I don't know. I'll just wake up.
Right.
Like I can definitely wake up to my alarms if I set it.
Okay.
In the past, I could not hear it.
I remember
until
that.
until about 7 hours in.
I think the art of making the alarms work for you, it's like very complicated because I think there have been times when like my subconscious sleeping brain has learned how to turn off an alarm and go back to bed without me making any memory of it.
That's what happened to me for a long time. It's
so then, like what you have to do is like put your phone or your alarm clock, whatever, like on the other side of the room, so like you have to at least stand up, and I think that will be enough.
Yeah.
It's so disturbing that it happens that way.
I know. It's like you think you're in control of your own brain and like you remember everything.
Oh no,
I guess
dude.
not.
Nope. Definitely not.
That's not. Yeah. It doesn't work like that.
I know like this episode's gonna wrap up soon, but I just wanted to like mention one last thing about sleep, which is like I definitely know that sometimes I would have insomnia, like I just can't fall asleep because like my thoughts are like racing. And I know that like during the pandemic, like 2020, sometimes I wouldn't fall asleep until like the sun was rising. So it was like really a big problem.
Wow.
Yeah, I relate to that. I relate to that heavy because for a lot of us, this is actually a problem for you a lot, Carrie, just because your schedule isn't structured. But
yeah,
I remember when I wasn't working because of the pandemic, and it got really disturbing at what hours I would sleep on the day. Like,
Yeah.
like you, I would not pass out until sun rose.
Oh yeah, because like you weren't like, there was nowhere you had to be in the morning, right?
And you just, because you didn't do anything, you didn't go out, you didn't expend energy.
Your body's not tired.
Your body's not tired, and like,
Yeah.
and then you just don't fall asleep. Like, you try to sleep, you stare at the ceiling, and nothing happens.
Right.
Wow.
I mean, I was just gonna say, like, I think I found a solution that works for me. So, like, I don't know if it would work for everyone. Like, I used to try, like, oh, maybe I'll take melatonin, and like that does help. But I found like what really really helps is like, this is kind of full circle. What I'll do is I'll put on a podcast and put it on like really low volume.
Okay.
And I find that like it really helps stop my brain from like thinking about racing thoughts. Like I used to like get really excited about like my next YouTube video, and then I would like try to script it in my head while I'm just lying there, and I can't stop even though I know that like this is like forcing me to stay awake. But with a podcast, it kind of like forces my thinking brain to focus on this very gentle conversation. And not like, it doesn't even matter like what they're talking about, as long as it's a very inconsequential subject. And then before I know it, I'm asleep. So
there you go.
Yeah.
There's an advice from Carrie himself. If you have insomnia, the 100% guaranteed solution is to listen to Overinspected.
oh yeah,
Ooh, the greatest
Overinspected-
speed-giving podcast in the world.
The next thing you know,
exactly.
the doctors are going to be prescribing this left and right. It'll be everywhere.
well, if we
Yeah.
scream right now, then like it's gonna wake them
No!
up.
Oh my god, Carrie, you've been wanting to do this ever since like episode 3. Don't
Oh,
scream.
God.
We're not trying to wake up the people. They're sleeping right now.
Wake up, wake up. Ah!
We
Oh,
did
no.
create this. Well, one of the missions for the podcast, we did create this for people to have as background noise.
Background noise?
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it. But yeah, you guys are right. I think that is a wrap, boys, for this episode. I hope you guys who are listening or watching this video, I don't know if you guys probably learned anything, but I feel like the biggest takeaway from this is that everyone has got like their own life, got their own lifestyle. I feel like Cubers in general, we think we're too similar. We think too similarly, when in reality we're all like different, unique individuals. You know, we're not all in this category, all that category. We all have different ways and different problems that we deal with. So I don't know. Hopefully you guys took away something that's important. Go exercise, sleep enough, and yeah, chase your dreams, guys.
Continue listening to Overinspected.
And
the
continue
greatest
listening to
speed-giving
Overinspected.
podcast in the world.
Wait, you gotta comment, you gotta like, you gotta subscribe, and then yeah, that's it. We can get the ball rolling after that.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, and then you'll live a happy, healthy life with good mental and physical health. All right.
You're
Goodbye,
probably
viewers.
Goodbye.
And if you're sleeping to this, sleep well.